Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Trader Minute, everybody. I'm Carl. Thanks for tuning in this morning. And the futures, looking at the futures here, up about 8 right now. Pretty strong open for a couple days before Christmas. Got about it's a shortened trading day tomorrow. The market will be closed. I believe it's about 1 o'clock Eastern time, so a couple hours early, a few hours early tomorrow on Christmas Eve. And now the futures are up based on a pretty strong personal income announcement this morning. Personal income's up 0.2%. Consumer spending is rising. It's up about a half a percent for November. This is the best we've seen since June. So if you come over here and look at the personal income, so the actual here is zero point 0.2, and then the big consumer spending month-to-month change up a half percent, up 0.5. Pretty good numbers, causing a little bit of a spark here uh, a couple days ahead of Christmas. All right, so that's what we're looking at today. Our positions right now, Boeing is set to open up about $1 in the dollar range, and Chesapeake set to open up about 15 cents, right around that neighborhood right there. So, nothing significant on either one of them, but we'll take it and see where this day ends up for us. The big news, right? And I see it's been in the chat this morning as well, is Apple and China Mobile officially entered their multi-year agreement to bring the iPhone to the world's largest mobile network. The 5S and the 5C are going to be selling over there starting January 17th. That's when it's all going to go through. So if you look at when the announcement was made over the weekend, but look at Apple here this morning. Closed last Friday at around 550, gapped up to about 565, and now it's trading up at 567 to 568 range. Nice gap there if you happen to be holding any Apple. Well, congratulations, an early Christmas present for you. As far as China Mobile's up to about $1 or so. They closed. You can see it right over here. It's a little bit better indication over here. The 51.63 is where they closed on Friday. They're trading at 52.70, so about $1.10 or so is where they're set to open up. So a bit of a move there too. I know that was it Mike? Somebody was in this trade. I saw that a little while ago here in the chat. It's off the screen right now, but there, yeah, Mike. Yeah, good job holding some of this. So yeah, it's going to jump up here for you a little bit. We'll see how this day plays out with these two. But yeah, some great news for those two companies. Yeah, and the reach of China Mobile is incredible, big time. So that's and of course I did see one Apple upgrade this morning based on the news. Yeah, I think we could all do those kind of upgrades. All right. Now, Joseph A. Bank and Men's Warehouse have been going at it here for a while. And the Men's Warehouse recently put a bid out for him for $55 a share, and it was rejected. And they spent probably a couple weeks looking through this bid from Men's Warehouse, but they rejected the bid. If you look at the charts on these guys, Men's Warehouse, oh, wrong screen. Down a little bit this morning, and then you look at also the Joseph A. Bank. Joseph A. Bank, same thing, down about $1 or so on this type of news. We'll see where this ends up. These guys have been sparring for a little while. One's trying to buy the other, and they're trying to buy each other out. But so far, no one's given up very easy on it. Joseph A. Bank say that they rejected the offer because it was way undervalued. So Facebook this morning. If you've seen Facebook shares this morning, they're traded up. Oh, it's about 53 cents or so. But their ad load is up significantly during the holiday. Now, I I don't get on Facebook very often. Yeah, I got a little thing there, but I don't hardly do it at all. Uh, I got too much other stuff going on to sit down and tell everybody else what I'm doing. Just go do it. But I was on there the other night. A friend of mine was chatting with me, and but I did notice there's a lot of ads. A lot of ads are on Facebook, and that's what they're saying. It's up significantly, especially during the holiday season. As people aren't going to be working as much, so I guess they'll hang out instead on Facebook. I'll be out doing something else, but yeah, a lot of people will do that. Okay, one of the stocks that we've been following here, Micron got a downgrade to an underperform. Got this from Bank of America, and you see them trading down about a dollar or so this morning on that on the downgrade. It's never any fun to get downgraded, I'm sure, if you're a company like that, but it's part of being in the market, being in a publicly traded market. Now, one thing going into this week, right? We talked about a shortened day coming tomorrow, a shortened day. The volumes are really going to start drying up. I mean, today, yeah, they started getting low on last Friday. Today, they'll be probably a little bit lower than Friday, and then tomorrow, just really light. And for the next week or so, you're going to see until January 2nd. It might even be till the first full week of January when tell you we really see these volumes come back. So if I go here and I'm gonna go back, let's go. Yeah, that's a little bit far, but 5 years, and then zoom in on this, and you look right about this last little part of the year. Look at the volumes, right? That's too big. Right through there. You notice how they really dry up every year. You're going to see these really, really light volumes about this time of year, just because it's the holidays. A lot of people just take the whole time off and not worry about trading. Now they're still trading. They're still it's plenty active. The market's plenty active on this. The light volumes means stocks can get up and move. Doesn't mean things aren't going to be moving. Things can still get up and move pretty good during the holiday season. So there's plenty of trading to do out there. Okay. So you look at the market here, gapped up about 7, up 696. I'll give that a 7 this morning. It's a nice little bit of a Christmas rally. We'll see how it holds up during the day, but the market's been so strong. It's been so strong. This giant rally off the Feds, right? This big reversal right here off the Feds to close at an all-time high on that day when it was way down here. It was an amazing day. This little tiny bit of a pullback, a little bit of a rally, and then today there'll be some little bit of profit taking, but right now the market looks really strong. The profit taking at this point, knock on wood, bar any new news out there, will probably just some slight consolidation back towards a 7 at this point. But yeah, I mean everything's up and going. I'm looking good. After all, it's a cheery kind of time of year, right? All right, let's look at our positions. We got Boeing. See how they're doing. The market's open. They're up about $1.13, so gapping over the 137.5 mark. I'd like to see that level hold and push a little bit higher today. And then Chesapeake. Now Chesapeake, remember, is it's a vibe entrance, up about 18 cents. Gap slightly higher here this morning. Yeah, this one I'd like to see this push in the upper band today. It'd be a pretty strong sign to see this push up in the upper band, and just keep going from there. So the two positions, nothing to react here. Technically they're just flat right now, yeah, and nothing to react to. Well, I said that twice. All right, so as far as last Friday, we looked at FedEx. That was one of my top three. Gapping higher by about 46 cents this morning. Now it's still in that upper Bollinger Band. Nothing to react to there. It's a good sign to see it up early, but we've got a long day ahead of us here in the market. And then the last one was Costco. Costco up about 48 cents. Also all gapping higher this morning along with the market. And yeah, positive here for that. Everything's gapping up along with the market today. Okay, and then on Thursday We had Chesapeake and then 3D as far as the top three. And look at 3D gapping up about $1.80 this morning, gapping over the 87.5 mark, and still looks like it wants to run. Again, it's early on. We'll see where this day ends up, but it's still a very strong looking stock. And this one, if you're in it, stay in it until it closes inside back below that upper Bollinger Band right there, and yeah, just keep riding it until that happens. Yeah, guest. We're planning on doing a series on technical analysis, going into all the basics and the details of technical analysis during the holiday season. And Jeff's going to be hosting that. We got some other guys coming in here for that. This is actually my last day until January 2nd. I'll be back on January 2nd, so I might be checking in occasionally, but I'm going to take that time off to go out and have a little fun. All right. And it's snowing here in Utah, so the fun's going to be out in the snow. Okay, CME this morning. So we look at this chart right here. The first thing that catches my eyes, I'll come up here towards the top and I see where this hit. It's right around 84. That's a resistance level. It broke that on Wednesday, when most stocks had their big up day like this one. Uh, and then some nice bullish consolidation. And that's what I'd call it. It's just slight pullbacks, slight up days. Let that 7 catch up here. And this morning's gapping higher. You'd want to see this one close up towards the upper Bollinger Band. But even if it doesn't and it comes back down towards 84, technically there's nothing there as far as weakness. All it's doing is consolidating a little bit, and then eventually what you want to see is let that 7 catch up a little bit and have it push up off the 7 and bounce up over this prior high from this candlestick over here. Be a nice little bullish entrance here. The indicators, they're uptrending right through here. Notice how it's uptrending, and then also there I don't have the bringing the vibe here. The MACD itself is uptrending. Everything's uptrending. This one still looks to go higher. But again, even if it doesn't run up today, it might. It's still too early to say. But even if it doesn't, if it closes around the 84 mark, I'd stay in the trade until it closed back below here, the 7-day moving average. But this is still a strong looking chart. Autodesk, yeah, same. Another strong looking chart. Let me just zoom in on that for you. The indicators are still rising. The MACD, the rate of change. It's had all of these bullish. This day right here would be a bull vibe. These are all bull vibe signals. You can see all the averages rising. Everything's rising, and it's got some very strong volume. So all of these right here are bull vibe signals. Look at them. We had 1, 2, 3 of them here in about the last week and a half. Last week alone, there was 2 signals here. It just wants to keep going. I would hold on to this. I'd expect a little bit of some resistance. It's got some big volumes going up towards it, but a little bit of resistance around the $50 area. Again, it's one of those big round multiples of 10. That's where you can expect, for the most part, support or resistance. In this case, it'd be resistance on the way back up. If I had a profit, I'd really I'd have a can't think of the word, but when it gets up there towards 50 is where I'd probably sell half or take it and then look for another entrance. Good to have you, Cricket. All right, let's look at U.S. Steel. AK, I know you were talking about this one. Yeah, watch this one this morning. Watch for another run back up is what you're looking for. As far as it's got everything. All the indicators are rising. You got the average is rising. It pulled back on Friday of last week. Another push up here off of 28 would be another bull vibe signal. So yeah, good to keep an eye on that one. And then also along with that, all right, I know that a lot of people were in AKS. So I had this huge update based on comments from the CEO, and then it just kind of going sideways. So this is bullish consolidation. If it starts to snap back hard, I'd be a little bit more nervous about it. But where it's just kind of holding its own up there, and the seven slowly catching up with it, it might give you another entrance on a pushback higher off the seven. Right now, it's about 70 cents or so away from that 7-day moving average. So I'd just watch it if I was in the trade. I couldn't argue taking a gain. I know a lot of you did at 200 to 300% on that day back there, but it might give us another opportunity to jump back in here by the end of this week. If this just starts to slowly consolidate and get back, and that seven catches up with it. Okay. Costco, yeah, I mean, it gapped higher. It's pulled back slightly since it's opened here, but you know, it's still up 19 cents. This one to just be watching and wait for this to push up towards that 50-day moving average, the 120 area. 120 really. I mean, I think the bigger resistance here is going to be about the 122 mark. Yeah, the 50-day moving average really isn't that big a level for it, so I'd watch this up to about the 122 area. Facebook this morning. So you notice all the averages, everything's rising right here, and today it had some nice bullish consolidation, jumps up above the $54 mark, which was prior resistance from right over here. Jumps up over it and just kind of slowly consolidates. A push here, a big bounce like this higher above the 56 mark would be a bull vibe signal. Be a nice looking. What you do here is put this, if this happens to close up above the $56 range today, put a stop on the 7, and I'd look at this, probably go up towards the $58 range. Now Facebook had a price target range over at Cantor Fitzgerald up to the $65 range. They didn't upgrade it. They reiterated a buy rating on it, and with a price target of 65. That's pretty conservative price target here on Facebook, but not a bad initial target on them. They're becoming more and more popular in the market all the time. Ever since the stock went through that big ugly IPO, to turn around and do what it's doing, it's definitely liked by the institutions. And that giant spike of volume there on Friday where the stock didn't do anything, a lot of times it's just loaded to spring out, and that's what it looks like it's doing early on, is springing out like this. So Celgene got a nice uptrend here. It's still intact. The 170 range has been prior resistance for it. We're coming up on that again. You notice the volumes increasing here. It had pretty big volumes over here as it got up to it. You can see the volumes right through here. Last time it got up into the range, bounced off of it. That's 170 range. It's the bottom, the lows are still getting higher, so eventually it's going to break through it. I'm not just sure when. There's no big sign as to when that's going to break. A push up through it today would be nice to see. It's still going to be quite a ways above the 7. There's no trade entry right here. If I was in a trade, I'd watch this 170 mark. If I had a gain here, if it doesn't look like it's going to break through it, I wouldn't be opposed to taking it off the table and watching for another entry. And it's likely to break through, and just there's no real indication as to when that thing's going to break through right now. These gaps and runs like that. And Gilead, pretty similar to Celgene. Pretty similar resistance on this. It's been about the just under 76. It's been gapping up towards that level, and when the stocks gap and run like that, they're a little bit tough to trade because is it going to run the gap right through it? Is it going to hit it and pull back hard? Which a lot of times can happen. Not a lot of times, but sometimes can happen when the stocks gap like that. They gap and run. This would be the third day in a row on a gap and run. Well, actually fourth, a gap and run. So that's 76. If I was in a trade, I'd just watch that level, 76. I had a decent gain. I'd probably just back out and watch for a re-entry. There's nothing bearish here, but it's that's what I do. Just I wouldn't be opposed to taking it around. And if it runs right up through, well, I wouldn't sell it this morning if I was in this. I'd watch it today and look at it towards the end of the day and see where it's at. This and Celgene, but they're both right there at levels of resistance. There could it could consolidate around that a little bit. Cup and handle on Facebook. Yeah, I could see that. So what we're looking at here, you can see the rounded bottom. Yeah, it's not much of a handle. It might not give you any more than that. They're getting some pretty positive press here recently in the market. That might be the smallest handle, all the handle you're going to get right here. Because the thing I like about it is, again, we talked about how it jumps up to 55, consolidates slowly just back over towards the 7, pushing up off that 7 again. You know, it probably off to the $57 area around that, maybe the upper 60s here, but that's a very bullish looking chart. If it were to end right here, you know, just extremely bullish looking chart, looking like it just wants to keep running. And that big volume spike on that one day on Friday like that, it can carry over, and I think that's what we're seeing today. Plus, you know, them a reiterated buy and a price target raise. Plus, they've upped their ad low significantly. So just positive news here for Facebook. Probably going to keep running. Twitter. You know, if you look at Twitter here, we're starting to see some things, and the only thing I can see here is you notice how it gets away from the 7 right through here. Now it stayed away from the 7 for quite a ways, so it's not like this day was much different. But when it stays away from the 7 like that, the odds of this consolidating back to it grow. And you notice it did consolidate for about 4 days. Went down right through this range right here, let the 7 catch up with it. That right there, you know, we don't have any averages on here yet because it hasn't been out long enough. But first one's going to be popping in here pretty soon with the 50-day. But that's about it. But that would be, if this was an uptrending, that would be a bull vibe signal. Now, without that, if you look at this pulling back like this candle right here would confirm what's called a 3 methods rising candle pattern. And that's where, let me show you. For those that you were with us during the last challenge, we had some trainings on a lot of these candle patterns. But this is a Maribozu candle. Big body like that, small wicks. And then you see three days down and 1 day back up here. But how this pattern confirms is when the stock eventually closes back above this first day, which it did last Friday. And that's a bullish candle pattern. Here we are at 60. It's gapped. Well, it didn't gap. It just opened at 60 and it's running higher. So far, this is a pretty positive looking signal that this could continue. You know, it's such a new stock. It's you know, we've been in it's been in the market now for about a month and a half or so. But it's a strong looking candle. You know, maybe February, I don't know, January, February, March, we might look at trading this, and once it gets a little bit more time underneath its belt. But you know, right now it's a bullish looking chart. It's probably just going to keep going. With MRO, yeah, this is one that runs flying to the bottom and turns around and runs right back up. Those are pretty tough to call. A lot of energy stocks have seen this type of action right here. And it's very bullish, but as far as a trade right here and now, you know, there's better looking entrances out there. It could keep going, but it's just one of these. If I was looking to trade it, I'd look elsewhere and I'd find another a nicer looking signal that would get me into the trade. Right here, there's no clear signals other than, hey, it's closing up here above the 7. Well, it's running up past the 7 today, which is a bullish sign, but as far as an entry, there's better looking entrances than that out there. If I was in the trade on this, I'd keep holding it. 35 is probably get up to the $36 range here. It'll meet the 50 up about that point. That's where I'd look to take a gain if I was there. But I'd just be watching this for a while. I wouldn't try to. I'd look elsewhere if I was going to look to trade it. I'd find a trade elsewhere. We're going to have a little bit more information that's forecasting the direction of the stock. So with Diamond Offshore here, if it were to close right here, it's pretty bearish. It'd be a trend right or bear signal. You notice all the averages down, indicators down, up, it's off your screen, indicators down. And then you see here it gaps up to the 7 and is pushing down off of it. Very bearish that this is probably going to break through 55 and go. If it closed right here, it's a very bearish bear vibe signal. Okay, let's look at Coca-Cola Enterprises. Big time volume on Friday. That's been past resistance for it. It's hit it, once over here, a few times over here, a few times over here. Now, a lot of times when stocks break resistance, what are they going to do? They'll come back to retest that prior level of resistance and see if it holds its support. If it does, then what it just did is locked in a higher level of support, which is likely to springboard this thing up towards the 45 to $46 range. Right now, as far as looking to trade it, there's no trade here yet. I'd wait for some consolidation and let this 7 catch up with a little bit. If I was in the trade, I'd just watch this area and make sure it doesn't break, especially between underneath that 42.5 mark. If it does, it'd be very bearish for it. But if it can hold and go to bounce higher off of 42.5, then that's where that that higher level of support would be locked in. It'd be a very bullish sign for this. And then BSX. All right, so with this one, a little bit of a pullback here recently. Looks like it caught some bottom right here and some pretty decent volumes. It's pushing higher above the 7 on Friday, trying to push up off it again today. It'd be a bullish signal if it did. Resistance is likely to be around 12. It's got some big volumes. It might break up through that, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of consolidation before that happens. Where it's just kind of going sideways, if not slightly down towards 1175 or something like that. Let that 7 catch up with it is be a pretty positive signal, and likely it's going to break up through 12.5. But who knows? It might just push right up to 12 today. It's got those big volumes right there. That's a good possibility. And as far as an entrance today on this, there's better signals. It's probably going to go up, but if I was in here, I wouldn't get out. I'm not bearish on it. It's a strong looking chart, but again, I'd like a little bit of consolidation here at the 50 and let that 7 catch up with it and push up, and then it's probably going to break through 12. But again, with the volumes, it might just do it. Okay. Fiesta Restaurants. Yeah, it's a nice looking chart here. Big breakout. Here's past resistance right there at 49. It shot through that on some big volumes last Friday. It's a nice looking, excuse me for a second. It's a nice looking bull vibe signal with all the averages rising. You see that shoot up through the 7 like that. It came back, hit the 7 and shot higher off of it over resistance like that. And today is some nice bullish bullish follow through as it's jumped up above 50 and is running higher off of 50. I wouldn't be surprised to see this pull back around the 50 to test that level. I don't know if I got news on Friday because that's some pretty big volume for the stock, but it's a very bullish looking chart. As far as an entry, I don't see an entry here. I'd let this consolidate a little bit, but if you're in the trade, man, stay in it. If I brought in the Bollinger Bands here, yeah, just entering the upper Bollinger Band today, and if, as long as it stayed in the band, then you could stay in the trade until it closed back inside of it. Yeah, Chesapeake up 36 cents this morning. Gap slightly higher and then is running like that. So early on, good signal to see. The bands are tight and it's pushing to the upper Bollinger Band. That's exactly what we'd want to see happen here. Thanks, Jimmy. Hey, I thought you guys didn't want me to look at Hal anymore. Halliburton, gap higher here this morning, running higher. It gapped up here to 51, has run slightly off of the level. It's a good start for it. So the 20-day moving average right here is pretty telling for stocks. And a lot of times when they break that 20 coming off the lower band and they break that 20, they'll go to the upper band. Which, if this were to keep going here, would be, it depends on how fast it took it to get there, 53 to 52, where this thing could end up. But yeah, I mean, it's got a ton of volume. It shot off that low right there when we bailed on it on Wednesday of last week before the Fed's announcement. Reversed like everything else, and it's just taken off. And that's what we wanted to get out of it right there. But stopped out, got out before that Fed announcement. So, but yeah, if you're still in the trade, it still looks strong, and especially today if it jumps up off of it, if it pushes up off this 51 level, it'd be a beautiful sign. It's probably headed here to the upper band. Lulu, Lululemon. All right, so with this one, that big gap down, and really all it's done to me, this is just bearish consolidation. Is giant gap down, and it's come up slightly off the bottom and just slowly gone over to that 7. Let that catch up with it. It doesn't mean it has to go down here, but what would be very bearish is if you saw a candle like this. If you saw a candle where this is bouncing back below the 7, be very bearish that this is probably going to run down towards the $56 range. But that's early. We got to see what this is going to do. If it does start to push higher off of this, then it's going to retest the $60 level to see if they can get through that level. But I wouldn't get bullish on this for a while. To me, it'd have to prove that it's going to break up through 60, can hold that level before I'd get bullish here. But yeah, thinking of going bearish, then look for that push lower today, a bounce down below, and push off that 7 and run back down towards the $58 range would be a very bearish sign for this. Yeah, Halliburton 59. Oh yeah, we talked about this on Friday, right? This thing could easily get up into that range. It's going to have some time to get there, but I wouldn't doubt that to see this get up into that price range. When this thing moves, you look in the past here. These are $8 to $10 spurts all along the way up here, and that's all it's going to need to do that. It's not going to be straight up, right? It's going to have its pullbacks along the way, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that at all within the next month or so. Okay, so let's just run through. Let's just take a look at the market. Market itself holding off the highs, but we're half an hour into the trading day now. It's still up 7, which is pretty awesome for everything that's been going on here in the market since Wednesday. To see it still pushing higher like this, very, very bullish. And then Boeing this morning up $1.06, so it's about right where it opened. It opened right about this range, gapped over the 137.5 mark. It's up in the upper Bollinger Band. That's what we want to see on this. And then Chesapeake, our vibe trade here, up 38 cents. It gapped up around 18 cents and it's now pushed up into the upper Bollinger Band. That's what we want to see. So yeah, trades are looking fine this morning. I'll be on chat with you all day long. If you have any questions, comments, you can put them through there. I know John's going to be with us. Jeff will be in a couple hours or so. He'll be here with us as well. So have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.